everyone. I'm Greg Harris, and I'm the President and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum, and I'm standing in the museum right now. You've all heard about Giving Tuesday. It's the day when we all support charities online. Well, we're doing it all week long, and we're calling this Rock Your Giving Week. So you can make change in this world by contributing to charities that you care about, and of course, we hope that one of them is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As we look back on this year, we're all going to remember it. It's been a weird one. Let's face it, businesses have shut down. Some of us have stopped traveling. We've all come closer together. We've all listened to music even differently. Your loyalty and support during this year has been incredible. We're very grateful for that. We miss seeing you at the museum, but we felt your presence through the year as you watched the 2020 induction ceremony, you listened to our new Induction Vault podcast, and you joined your favorite artists for online programs here at the museum. We even did some virtual tours of our new exhibits, and we pushed out a lot of really cool digital content for everybody. You know, rock and roll connects all of us, and our mission here at the museum is really simple. We engage, we teach, and we inspire through the power of rock and roll. We're a national landmark, we're an important cultural institution, and we have a global audience. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame recognizes that in this important moment for all of us, we have an important need to the public. We continue to provide you with great digital content that you can enjoy from your homes. It could be the millions of people that are watching our YouTube videos from our vaults. It could be the million-plus school children we reached through online educational content at rockhall.edu. And it might even be the parents that are sitting next to them, helping them with their homework at the kitchen table using Rock and Roll Hall of Fame resources. Your support is critical. It helps us deliver on all these programs. It helps us reach these teachers, these kids, these parents, and it helps connect all of us. We hope you enjoy this week. We're pushing out a bunch of special programs for this Rock Your Giving Week, and we want you to participate in them. There's special interviews, special lessons, special learning. And once you enjoy these programs, take a moment, think about what charities you want to support this week for Giving Tuesday, and please consider making the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one of them. Your support allows us to do things this week, every day through the year, and continue our great mission to engage, teach, and inspire through the power of rock and roll. I thank you, and be well, be safe. Can't wait to see you again.
Here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we are storytellers. My name is Joe Butler, and as the manager of education programs, I work with my team to tell the stories of rock and roll's greatest artists. From pre-K age children to K-12 classrooms, up to college and adult learners, we engage, teach, and inspire through the power of rock and roll with them all. Here at the museum, we are grateful to have on exhibit so many important items from the lives of our featured artists. Much of our on-site programming explains how those icons' music and art matters to our learners in the present, and instructs the learners on how they can apply that knowledge when looking at the artifacts from those musicians' lives. While Cleveland, Ohio is the birthplace of rock and roll thanks to DJ Alan Freed and the insatiable musical appetite of the teenage population of Northeast Ohio in the 1950s, rock and roll music is a global force. Since we know visiting the museum is out of reach for many rock and roll fans, our online resource platform, Rock Hall EDU, provides free access to our programming and content from anywhere in the world. Teachers, parents, and guardians with learners in school or at home can access hundreds of assets connecting our artists' stories and music to any academic discipline they may be teaching or learning about. To learn more about signing up, you can visit rockhall.com/education. I'll let our Director of Education, Mandy Smith, give you a full perspective on how Rock Hall EDU fits into our entire educational program offerings.
Now, I want to tell you a bit about our education programs that harness the power of rock and roll to help students learn. Lately, we've been focusing a lot of our time and attention on our online education platform, Rock Hall EDU, where teachers and parents can find free materials. Everything from lesson plans and videos to playlists and activities to use in any kind of learning environment. In-school, virtual, hybrid, homeschool, you name it. Our materials meet and exceed content standards in music, social studies, English, and STEAM, or science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Our assets have reached about 800,000 students, and if you want your learners to take advantage of this Rock Hall exclusive content, sign up for your free account at rockhall.com/education. We also have on-site programs that normally reach around 20,000 students per year. For our Rock in the Schools program, K-12 teachers can bring their students to the Rock Hall, take an interdisciplinary class, and tour this world-class museum. Our Toddler Rock program is every bit as cute as the name sounds. 3 to 5-year-olds come to the museum every single week to learn pre-literacy, numeracy, motor, and social skills, all important to master for kindergarten and beyond. We see students from our local Cuyahoga Community College weekly for the only college rock history class that takes place at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Most of our on-site programs and our online platform are free of cost, which means that any teacher can take advantage of them to use the power of rock and roll to engage their students. It also means that we need help from donors, members, and supporters to keep creating impactful experiences and content and make it available to all learners in Northeast Ohio and across the globe, particularly at a time when teachers and parents need our support more than ever.
Thanks, Mandy. Today, I would like to show you an example of our programming and some of the resources available on Rock Hall EDU. I'm standing here in our Legends of Rock exhibit next to one of the most recognizable artifacts we have on display, one of Michael Jackson's sequin gloves. Before we talk more about this glove, we have a video from Rock Hall EDU that will teach us how to interpret an artifact. Let's take a look.
How do we remember the moments from our past that we want to remember? Think of how often you take a picture of a person, a place, an event you attended. You capture a moment and catalog an experience when you do that. And then you relive it by looking at the picture, sharing it with others, and telling stories about it. We connect with the history of rock and roll in the same way. By looking at an instrument, a performance outfit, a concert poster, a contract, even a record cover, we can learn more about a musical moment. We call these things artifacts, the physical evidence that these moments in rock history happened, and that they are happening right now. At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum, we preserve and display artifacts that help tell the story of the music. Curators work with artists, managers, and even fans to acquire artifacts. We then bring the artifacts to the museum, and staff record and catalog information on the history and condition of the artifact. These items are then stored in a temperature-controlled vault until the exhibit staff prepares them to display in the museum. So what can we learn from rock and roll artifacts? How can we unlock their stories? First, we have to describe what we see. So let's use an example. Here's one of the most popular artifacts from our collection. You might even recognize it, or can guess who it belongs to. Now, start by asking questions. What is it? What was it used for? Who made it? Where was it used? Who used it? When was it used? When was it made? Now, most of you probably recognize this as one of Michael Jackson's famous sequined gloves. He designed it with fashion designer Bill Whitten. This particular glove was created by costume designers Michael Bush and Dennis Tompkins to be worn on stage during Jackson's 1992 Dangerous World Tour. Each glove is covered in hand-sewn Austrian crystals. Jackson wore it when performing his 1983 smash hit Billie Jean. So why is this glove so famous? What does it tell us about Michael Jackson and his place in the history of rock and roll? To answer these questions, we need to first think about what the glove means to us. This glove is important because it connects fans with Michael Jackson and his music. Think about pictures you've seen of Jackson wearing a glove like this. Now, do you know the song Billie Jean? If you do, what does it mean to you? Imagine Michael Jackson performing the song on stage. Imagine him wearing his signature sequin glove during the performance. The glove, which he wore on only one hand, became his hallmark after he first wore it on the Motown Records' 25th anniversary TV special in 1983. On that show, he first performed the moonwalk, his signature dance move. The glove continued to be a part of Jackson's look throughout his career, along of course with his sunglasses, military-style jackets, short pants, and white socks. The sequin glove and the white socks allowed us to actually see some of his more intricate dance moves. Since then, the sequin glove has become the symbol for Michael Jackson, the king of pop and two-time Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee. Visitors of all ages and from all over the world gravitate to this artifact because of the story it tells. Some fans might remember the first time they saw Michael Jackson perform wearing a glove. Others might think of the first time they tried to moonwalk. Or seeing the glove might make them think of their favorite Michael Jackson song. Some fans may have even made or bought their own sequin glove so that they could be more like Michael Jackson. So the glove is more than just a glove. Artifacts are alive. They show us that history is living and breathing, that rock and roll continues to evolve and change. Because we evolve and change. Artifacts aren't only about what happened in the past. They're about how we use the past in the present. Just like the pictures we take of moments we want to remember. Artifacts tell stories and reveal important information if we look closely enough and ask the right questions. So ask these questions and use these strategies as you interact with artifacts online and as you visit the Rock Hall in person and other museums too. Rock on!
Videos like this, which we call our core concept videos, train learners how to understand and explore the significance and importance of artifacts, songs, and musical instruments. From this video, we now have some key pieces of information about Michael Jackson as a performer. By exploring the history of this one glove, we discovered volumes about the care and attention to detail that Jackson gave to every performance and every fan's experience at one of his concerts. While Michael Jackson's innate vocal talent and onstage charisma were evident from an early age, these alone are not what set him on the path of eventually being crowned the King of Pop and a two-time inductee of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As a member of the Jackson 5, Michael spent 7 formidable and remarkable years as a cog within the hit-making machine that was Motown Records. The Jackson 5, long before they were inducted to the Rock Hall as a group in 1997, signed to Motown Records in 1968. While Berry Gordy began the company in Detroit, Michigan, by the time the Jackson 5 had joined the ranks, Motown was transitioning its operations to Los Angeles, California. Idolized for the bright lights and posh lifestyle of Hollywood, Berry Gordy had long been preparing his musical talents for such an environment. Motown Records had a hard hill to climb in the industry from the beginning. To compensate for the scrutiny of an African-American owned record label, Berry Gordy held himself, his talent, and his employees to the highest standards through quality control. From his time working on an automobile assembly line, Gordy became enamored with the concept of turning raw materials into a functioning product. He wanted to do the same with music. However, he also recognized that for his product to be popular and successful, what comes off the line must be perfect. This quality control applied not only to the music, but also to the look, persona, presence, and performances of the talent. The Jackson 5 would quickly benefit from this system, as their early success was due in no small part to their ability to appear on television programs in matching jumpsuits with tight and engaging choreography to accompany their music. In a short period of time in this system, the Jackson 5 became the best-selling group of Motown, surpassing another iconic Motown singing group and fellow Rock Hall inductees, the Supremes. Signed in 1961, these teenage women were on their way to being overhauled by the Motown machine. Trained in the art of poise and social graces by Motown's resident finishing school teacher, Maxine Powell, and dressed in matching gowns like these, the Supremes were glimmering visions of the quality Berry Gordy wanted fans to expect of Motown. When Michael Jackson and his brothers joined the label in the late 1960s, Diana Ross quickly took them under her wing and even had them stay at her house for a time. With Ross as his mentor, is it a surprise that Michael Jackson would eventually himself adopt some of the same costuming aesthetics when he began his solo career? Motown acts, including the Supremes, were also well known for their choreography and their performances, both on stage and on screen. Consistent with his assembly line model, Berry Gordy employed Charlie Atkins as Motown's house choreographer. By having one mind dictate the moves and gestures of every artist and group, Gordy was able to create a somewhat uniform visual component to pair with his expertly crafted and iconic musical sounds. Charlie Atkins, though not a singer himself, developed what he called vocal choreography, which enhanced the Motown singer's vocal performances with simple yet expressive gestures and movements. Examples of Atkins's best work includes the spins and steps of the Temptations and the iconic "Stop" hand gesture from the Supremes' #1 hit, "Stop in the Name of Love." Charlie Atkins also taught his concept of vocal choreography to the men of the Jackson 5, before Marlon Jackson would eventually become the group's main choreographer. This is why I love learning and teaching about rock and roll history. The story of every artist and every artifact can lead you to discovering other incredible and inspiring artists and visionaries like Charlie Atkins and Berry Gordy. So far, we've talked a lot about what we can see, since things like costumes and dance moves are all visual. But as Charlie Atkins knew, those elements are only there to enhance the incredible sounds made by the singers and musicians of Motown. To achieve the degree of consistent quality he wanted to hear, Berry Gordy had aligned his record company to be an assembly line of songwriting, recording, and production teams. Each team of writers and producers would be dedicated to working with usually one or two of Motown's acts, mimicking an assembly line where each team is dedicated to installing one piece of each car as it passes by. For the Jackson 5, this team was known as the Corporation, who wrote and produced I Want You Back, ABC, and The Love You Save, all of which were #1 hits. For the Supremes, the team known as Holland Dozier Holland were the architects of the #1 hits Stop, In the Name of Love, Baby Love, and You Can't Hurry Love, among many others. I'd like to show you now another video from Rock Hall EDU, where we can hear from Lamont Dozier of Holland Dozier Holland himself speaking about his role as a producer in making these iconic hits.
After the band had the chord sheet with the melodies and everything that was necessary, and lyrics on that sheet, because the songs had to be finished then at this particular time, and it was all written out with notes and things for the band to play. But then once they started playing, there were things that you could not have on paper, that you, like different feelings and attitudes you wanted the band to play. So I wound up humming those things and giving them suggestions, certain different licks to play, different sounds and different way to execute these things when the band would play, or the guitar player, or a horn solo. I would give them a melody to blow, you know what I mean? Those type of things. These are part of the producer's job too, is to be there to make the song sound realistic, give it some commerciality, to make it not stiff, you know. I mean, you can read off a piece of paper, but it has to have a feeling, you know, and so it's up to the producer to make sure that feeling is transformed from the paper to the artist, or to I should say the band. Make sure the band is playing that feeling that you want. That's what makes or breaks a song, is the producer and his interpretation of the song.
As Lamont Dozier said, it was his job as a producer to get the right feelings and attitudes out of the musicians, because it's hard to write those nuances onto paper. The resident musicians throughout most of Dozier's time with Motown were known collectively as the Funk Brothers. This team of session musicians, meaning they rarely played on stage but instead played during recording sessions, can be heard on most of the greatest hits released by Motown. Next to me here is the upright bass of James Jamerson of the Funk Brothers. Inducted into the Rock Hall in 2000, Jamerson provided his buoyant and melodic bass lines, which were a foundational part of the Motown sound. Speaking of the Motown sound, I have one more video from Rock Hall EDU I would like to share with you today. It is a video where we play some of Motown's greatest hits while highlighting the musical techniques and songwriting styles which made the songs uniquely Motown. You will hear many of the songs we've mentioned so far today, and if you listen closely, you will hear this bass being played on the #1 hit song, My Guy, by Mary Wells. Let's have a look and a listen.
treat me bad, break my heart and leave me sad. Tell me, what did I do wrong to make you stay away so long?
Now if you feel that you can't go on because all of your hope is gone and your life is filled with much confusion.
Way down in LA, every day they're dancing in the street. Let's form a big strong line, get in time, we're dancing in the street. Across the ocean blue, me and you, we're dancing in the...
It has been great to guide you on an exploration of some of our artifacts and to showcase for you some of our free content available on Rock Hall EDU. Our mission is to engage, teach, and inspire through the power of rock and roll. That power comes to you and your learners through Rock Hall EDU no matter where you are. If you enjoyed this program or any of the killer stories you've heard about Rock Hall education, please consider supporting through making a donation, becoming a member, or buying a Rock Hall notebook and pen from our online store for a budding songwriter you know. Your contribution will support a place where anyone can learn to rock and where students can learn all subjects through the power of music. Be sure to check out more of our free online education materials at Rock Hall EDU by visiting rockhall.com/education. Thanks for watching, and long live rock.
We hope you will consider supporting these important educational programs so that we can continue our mission to engage, teach, and inspire through the power of rock and roll.
Wanna get together.